Back then, everything changed for him after the wild stages, electrifying crowds, and endless tours. Over time, fame turned quiet, and loss echoed more than applause. The laughter that once filled dressing rooms faded, replaced by stretches of loneliness. Instead of the rush of concerts, quieter nights settled in. Old friends are gone, some relationships distant, and the constant movement slowed to silence. Tiredness aches in bones that once jumped across stages. Painful memories of tragedies never fully healed, and his eyes sometimes give away the weight he carries. Each new day feels heavier, the songs sung less often, and the spotlight shifted to memories that linger in still rooms. Though the world remembers greatness, his world has narrowed, marked by shadows of what came before, and the ache of what can't be reclaimed. Growing up in West Bromwich, England, Robert Anthony Plant entered a world that still echoed with the hardships of World War II. Life was a daily exercise in managing with little, and his family's financial constraints shaped much of his childhood. His father worked hard for new aircraft companies that struggled after the war, trying to find a place in a changing economy, while his mother cared for him at home, ensuring their small circle felt safe and connected through the challenges they faced. The neighborhood, filled with others enduring similar circumstances, became a place where everyone relied on each other. Sharing and looking out for one another was the norm, not the exception. This close-knit atmosphere didn't just see him through hard times, it carved into him the values of resilience and determination. Each morning, he witnessed neighbors sharing what little they had, grown-ups rallying to help others, and children learning early on that community was not just a place to live, but a lifeline. Even simple pleasures, like sharing a loaf of bread or an afternoon in conversation, brought a warmth that sometimes made up for what was missing on the dinner table. Times were tough, but the sense of belonging was strong, and it was from this foundation that Robert Plant would later draw his unwavering focus and drive. His early days taught him that facing adversity wasn't just about grit. It was about leaning on one another and never letting go of hope, no matter how scarce comfort might feel. Those formative years in post-war West Bromwich set the stage for everything that came next, giving him the unshakable perseverance that would carry him through all of life's stages. Even as a young boy, Robert Plant was drawn to the magic of music. His fascination with singing and rock and roll began at an early age, especially after listening to Elvis Presley. The excitement Presley brought to his performances left a deep mark on Robert, who found himself longing to capture that energy and stage presence. School was never his strong suit, and he struggled with academic expectations. But he discovered two things that offered him real happiness: soccer and music. The joy of being on the field with his teammates was as real to him as the thrill he felt diving into songs. When he listened to records by American blues musicians such as Muddy Waters, he felt a spark that he could not ignore. These artists opened up new ways of thinking about music, fueling Robert's love for the blues rhythm and vocals. Growing up in a working-class family, he knew that chasing dreams like his would not be easy, but the passion he borrowed from these musical heroes gave him the confidence to try. Every time he sang along to a blues record or belted out a Presley tune, his ambitions grew stronger, pushing him to pursue a life far away from traditional paths and closer to the music that inspired him. Still only a teenager, Robert Plant walked away from accountancy college with a restless energy that numbers could never satisfy. Life was not easy after that decision. He took on any low-paying job he could find, the kind that barely kept the lights on, and left his hands raw at the end of the day. Yet the struggle never dimmed his real passion. In smoky back rooms and grungy bar stages across the British blues circuit, Robert poured everything he had into performing. He studied the recordings of old blues greats, methodically copying their vocal styles until he could channel the ache, longing, and raw joy that filled their songs. Every night on stage, his voice grew stronger, reaching for notes with a sincerity that came straight from his working-class roots. Sometimes the gigs barely paid, but music always won over comfort. He didn't chase stardom or money. Something deeper pulled at him, a need to turn hardship into sound. Over time, he became known not just for his vocals, but for the energy he carried into a room. Powerful, unpredictable, completely wrapped up in the music, making it hard for anyone to look away. Suddenly, a new chapter began for Robert when, in the closing months of 1968, he met Jimmy Page. Page, an accomplished guitarist, sought someone who could be more than a vocalist, a true creative partner able to match and inspire his own musical direction. When Robert and Jimmy first played together, their blend of styles felt natural and immediate, almost like they had been working as a team for years. Conversations flowed easily about their shared love for blues and rock, and during early rehearsals Robert's voice soared above Jimmy's powerful guitar sound, turning simple sessions into moments of energy and invention. Quickly, it became clear that something special was forming between them. This chemistry pushed them to go further, and soon they decided to make their partnership official. This step would change everything for Robert. It was the birth of Led Zeppelin, a band that would lift both men to global fame. As they wrote songs and experimented with sounds, Robert's lyrics and voice proved the perfect companion to Jimmy's music. The experience of meeting Jimmy Page gave Robert both a platform and creative freedom, marking his transition from local singer to a major artist on the world stage. Their meeting sparked not just professional respect, but also personal understanding, growing into one of the most iconic partnerships in music history. From the very beginning, Led Zeppelin's debut album in 1969 made a lasting mark on the world of rock music, with Robert Plant's powerful vocals taking center stage and the band's raw guitar riffs supporting him. A fresh sound emerged that would help shape what became known as hard rock. The interplay between Plant's voice and the fierce instruments set them apart from their peers. As the album gained attention, people were drawn to the energy and excitement in every song. Soon, the band's innovative style captured audiences far beyond their early venues. Concerts became larger, and their fan base grew with each performance, creating a sense of anticipation for what they would do next. Quickly, Led Zeppelin moved from being a promising new group to a driving force in rock, with many looking to them as leaders of the genre. Their rise was extraordinary, and much of their success rested on the unmistakable impact of Plant's vocals and the bold sounds that accompanied him. Together, they crafted a new musical path that others would follow for years to come. As Led Zeppelin's star continued to rise, each album they released surpassed the previous one in sales, firmly establishing the band at the peak of rock music. With the arrival of their fourth album in 1971, the group reached legendary status, creating powerful songs that critics and fans would call masterpieces for decades to come. Robert Plant stood at the front, capturing every eye and ear with unparalleled charisma and an energy that filled stadiums. His voice soared over iconic guitar riffs, and his presence made every concert an unforgettable event. Wearing flashy, suggestive costumes, he became an instant symbol of both talent and daring, embodying the wild, uninhibited spirit of rock. Physical Graffiti followed in 1975, pushing success even further and adding more classics to their catalog. Plant's style and magnetic confidence became a blueprint for future rock frontmen, and his stage performances created a sense of excitement and allure that defined an era. As the ultimate male sex symbol in the rock world, Plant not only led with his voice, but became the living embodiment of Led Zeppelin's wild success and appeal, his influence stretching far beyond the music itself, making history with every note and movement on stage. After years of fame and endless touring, the spirit of Led Zeppelin felt weighed down by heavy living. Constant movement from city to city, combined with a lifestyle of recklessness and indulgence, drew the group into a haze of substance use. The once tight bond among band members frayed as the pressures of performance and the lure of escape pulled them in different directions. In this turbulent whirlwind, Robert Plant found himself especially vulnerable. Everything changed in 1977 when Robert's young son, Karak, suddenly died from a stomach illness. The tragedy hit Robert without warning, shattering his sense of purpose and hope. The loss felt deeper than any exhaustion brought on by rock and roll excess. As his world turned upside down, Robert questioned whether he had the strength or desire to continue making music at all. With grief clouding his heart and tension within the band at an all-time high, he began to wonder if the cost of fame had taken him too far from the things that mattered most. Suddenly, everything changed for Robert Plant in 1975 during a vacation in Greece with his wife Maureen, when they were involved in a serious car accident. The incident caused severe injuries to both, but Robert's injuries in particular were significant and had a direct effect on his life and career. After the accident, he needed months of recovery, both physically and emotionally. During this time, he was unable to participate in Led Zeppelin's active schedule, which delayed the group's work together and impacted their upcoming projects. The injuries forced Robert to rely on others and face the frustration of being unable to perform as he once did. This recovery period was filled with uncertainty, as no one could immediately tell how much his voice and stage presence would be affected in the long term. The long rehabilitation changed not only his approach to music, but also his personal outlook, as he coped with pain, physical limitations, and the slow journey to regain strength. These difficult circumstances tested Robert's resilience and determination, and the experience left a lasting mark on both his personal and professional life. During the late 1970s, the weight of Robert Plant's career began to affect his personal life. After a devastating car accident that left his wife Maureen severely injured, the couple's relationship faced growing challenges. Plant's long periods away from home because of Led Zeppelin's relentless touring schedule added to the strain. The constant absence, paired with the emotional and physical toll taken by the accident, led to increased pressure at home. As the tension mounted, the distance between Robert and Maureen grew, and by 1980, they decided to end their marriage. The divorce marked a particularly difficult and stormy period for Robert. The separation affected not only his personal world, but also the band's unity, as his struggles became intertwined with the overall mood and outlook of Led Zeppelin's members. This emotional unrest contributed to the group's eventual breakup, as Robert dealt with personal loss on top of professional uncertainty. The fallout from the breakup and his marriage ending left a noticeable mark on his music and life decisions during those years, shaping his next steps in ways both subtle and pronounced. After John Bonham died in 1980, the whole world seemed to shift for Robert Plant. The shock hit him harder than almost anything else in his life. Bonham's death meant not only the loss of a friend, but also the end of Led Zeppelin. They had built something huge together, transforming the sound of rock music, and spending years living as a close-knit group. But that connection was ripped away almost overnight. In those first months after the tragedy, Plant faced overwhelming grief. The sudden loss mixed with other personal problems, and the weight of it started to show. It was an incredibly rough time, and Plant struggled to deal with the reality that everything he had known musically and personally was now gone. He turned to alcohol frequently during this period, using it as a way to numb the pain and confusion that followed Bonham's passing. Plant found himself in a period of real turmoil, unable to escape the sadness and stuck in habits that only made things worse. Over time, what helped Plant was the presence of people who still cared for him, the friends and family members who refused to let him spiral out of control forever. They provided stability when he felt unmoored, and offered genuine support when he needed it most. Slowly, with their help, Plant worked to overcome his struggles with alcoholism, and began to come to terms with the losses that defined this chapter of his life. After years of leading Led Zeppelin, a new direction began for Robert Plant when he received support from fellow musician Phil Collins. Encouraged, he set out on a solo path in 1982, determined to find his own musical identity. His very first solo album, called Pictures at 11, made a strong impact and quickly found commercial success, proving that Robert could stand on his own. This album opened a new chapter as he left behind the sounds most closely linked to his earlier band days. Instead, Robert leaned into changing styles, especially throughout the 1980s, when he gradually let go of the familiar blues foundations. He explored and embraced different sounds, mixing rock with folk influences to craft a distinct artistic voice. As the decade moved forward and music tastes kept shifting, Robert didn't cling to the past. The release of Now and Zen in 1988 became another highlight, where he demonstrated how easily he could adapt while staying creative and connected to his audience. Staying busy with collaborations, especially with Jimmy Page, Robert managed to remain relevant and inspired. His creative spirit did not fade, even though the wider music scene was in a constant state of change. Instead, his willingness to evolve musically kept his career moving forward, and gave listeners new reasons to stay interested in his journey. After years of standing at the front of some of the world's biggest stages, Robert found a whole new direction in 2007 when he worked with bluegrass singer Alison Krauss. Their project, the album called Raising Sand, surprised many fans and critics alike. This recording took Robert far away from the type of music people usually expected of him, with its subtle string arrangements, close harmonies, and a heartfelt, roots-driven sound. Instead of taking the lead with his strong rock voice, he blended with Alison's gentle style, exploring a whole different side of his musical personality. Raising Sand was celebrated for how well the two voices fit together, creating a new sound that felt both old-fashioned and fresh. Listeners heard Robert in a new light, showing not just his skills as a singer, but revealing that he could shape and adapt his approach to make something beautiful in a completely different genre. The album's songs, filled with emotion and a bit of mystery, won over a wide new audience. Raising Sand achieved great success, gathering 5 Grammy Awards. The critical and commercial response to their work proved that Robert was more than just a legendary figure in rock music. He was a true artist who loved to experiment and take chances. This leap into bluegrass not only won awards, but also reignited a spark in Robert's career, inspiring him to keep seeking out new artistic paths without being tied down to any one sound or formula. The experience with Alison Krauss demonstrated his endless curiosity and willingness to grow as an artist, reminding everyone that music is about exploration, reinvention, and that sometimes unexpected partnerships can result in something truly special. Over time, a true mark of continued reinvention is stepping beyond expectations, and this describes the musical path of Robert. Even after years of performing, he always pushed towards something new, refusing to settle into a single sound or genre. By releasing experimental albums like Carry Fire in 2017, he displayed a drive to keep searching for new forms of expression. These choices were not just repetition or comfort. Instead, Robert chose to experiment, listen to different voices, and blend what he found into his music. His collaborations with varied artists from across the musical spectrum became a symbol of his journey. As he moved through different musical landscapes, his willingness to adapt and take risks became a defining feature of his career. Each new project felt like he was opening another door to possibilities, making sure that neither his fans nor he himself would ever know exactly what to expect next. Because of this, Robert's music stayed fresh and lively, never bound to a single era or trend, always shaped by curiosity and determination to redefine what he could do artistically. Throughout many years, Robert Plant faced personal setbacks and changes in the music world, yet his passion for making music never faded. Instead of repeating old successes, he chose to keep evolving, trying out new sounds and partnerships that brought fresh energy to his work. Even as nostalgia tours became more common for many artists from his generation, Robert Plant did not rely on past fame to define his path. He sought out new collaborators and explored a range of musical styles, always searching for something that felt genuine and exciting to him. His determination allowed him to keep making music that felt alive and relevant, rather than simply looking back. The losses he experienced did not slow him down, but perhaps made his creative achievements even more powerful. Robert Plant's work stands as a testament to how an artist can move forward, despite difficulties, through constant change and resilience. Each stage of his career offered new chances for artistic growth, allowing his music to speak to new listeners as well as longtime fans. His lasting impact comes from this refusal to stand still, his willingness to embrace risk, and his belief in the value of artistic expression. Plant demonstrates that a legacy is not just about what has been accomplished in the past, but about the ability to face challenges and keep creating with integrity, always moving into the unknown, driven by a deep love for the craft and for sharing that creative journey with others.